This week's watch is a steel oyster petrol Datejust with a salmon pink dial. It was the dial that made us choose this watch as a video blog, because it's so beautiful and so unusual. Not seen one of these on this size of watch before. We've done a few on the 26mm ladies version, but never on a 36mm. The watch isn't running at the moment. We suspect a broken mainspring. There's not much resistance when you try to wind the watch. Also something wrong when the watch came in initially with the setting lever, just not pulling out to set the time. So that requires investigation. Generally the watch is not in bad condition. The dial is beautiful, the hands are beautiful, the glass is good, a little bit of dirt around the case and bracelet, but the condition of them is not too bad at all. Some very light wear. So this should be a good sound watch when we've done the service. First thing to do is to pop the bracelet off so we can have a look underneath. Just remove that spring bar. A little bit of dirt under there, but nothing unusual. And that's the bracelet off. And we've already loosened the case back on this, so we can take a look inside. Just finger tight. And there we have a beautiful 3135 movement. Very good condition as usual, that nice bright rhodium plating. The bearing on this is starting to fail. It's not terrible. Not seeing it brushing the case back or the movement too much. It has slightly, but get that dirt out of there. It's definitely at the point where we need to be replacing the auto assembly, because I don't think we'll last a 2-year warranty period without it needing replacing if we don't. Yep. Very nice movement. It's a good solid watch in good condition. The strange thing is we do suspect a broken mainspring, because it really doesn't feel like it's holding any power at all, but every now and then the watch runs for 10 seconds or so, which I've never seen in a watch with a broken mainspring before. We just screw those case screws down, and then we turn the movement to locate it, and that will allow the movement just to pop easily out. And then we have a closer look at that beautiful dial, the lovely salmon pink tone with the Roman numerals. Just pop that crown and stem back in there, and then oddly enough, when we do that, the hand setting mechanism, the setting lever, does work. So I assume in there something was just loose or not oiled correctly, so that should be sorted out during the service without any spare parts, hopefully. And still not much resistance at all when we're winding. Here we are about to move the hands and the dial from the watch. I think this is the safest way, in my opinion, to do it. I was shown this at the BHI at Upton Hall. And those that you can see in my hand are carbon fibre tweezers. Whenever we're handling hands or dials, I like to use those carbon fibre tweezers because they don't cause any damage. And the next thing to do is to unscrew the screws on the side of the movement. They lock the dial in place. That will allow us to carefully lever the dial up so we can remove the dial with no damage to the dial feet. Again, excellent condition, bright rhodium plating, the beautiful pelage finish to the underside of the plate. You can see the date mechanism working. As I say, this watch does run occasionally for short periods, so we can do a pre-service test by putting it on our testing machine and blowing the balance slightly. And see, even in its current state, it's got a beat error and it's gaining time, but a good amplitude on the balance. And there it's stopped. We are proceeding with stripping the watch down. I'd be interested to get into the mainspring barrel and see exactly what's going on in there. Put those parts of the winding mechanism into the cleaning basket, ready to go in the cleaning machine. The part I'm lifting now, that's the lever that controls the hack mechanism. That's more of the winding mechanism. Separate everything before it goes through the cleaning machine, that way you don't get any fluid trapped in between parts, which then dries on and leaves a residue behind. And we take out the winding wheel, and as I do this it snaps as I'm unscrewing it. So that's caused us a problem, because not only do we now need to replace that screw, there's also part of it left in the barrel arbor. Lift up that barrel bridge, and that will allow us to access the mainspring barrel. Get those screws out of there. Now the barrel arbor having the screw thread stuck in is not the biggest problem. It is a part you can purchase to replace, but if we can remove it without any problem, then we will do. So the first thing to do is to get the barrel arbor out of the mainspring barrel, and we can also have a look at that mainspring at the same time. That's the broken head of the screw, and the thread is still stuck in there. Just pop that cover off. Careful to separate it so you don't have the spring springing all over the workshop. And it is broken. It looks like any other broken mainspring, which I do find a bit curious, because it did run for quite a long time with no power. It would run for 10-20 seconds at times with no power. Setting mechanism is still working. So here we are, we've got the barrel arbor in a pin vise, and we are able to unscrew the stuck screw thread from the barrel arbor, so we can just put a new screw in there, a genuine Rolex one, and new mainspring, and that will be as good as new. This is the movement going through the cleaning machine. Obviously this is sped up. This is 64 times speed. This process takes 26 minutes. We can quite often run it 2 or 3 times as well, alongside some manual cleaning as well, just to make sure everything's perfect. And this is the watch going back together. This is parts of the date mechanism going back in. putting those nice hands back on. You see, as I said earlier, we like to use the carbon fibre tweezers for this type of thing. You can handle the hands with no marks on them. It's important to make sure all the hands are parallel to the dial and each other. That's the way you get a watch running nicely without the hands touching each other or touching the dial. Which is, it sounds obvious, but it's surprising how many times you see a watch that's been touched by a watchmaker where the hands are not parallel afterwards. Also, obviously, important to make sure it goes through 12 and the date resets at the right point. There we go, over to 27, bang on midnight. So here's the trace after the service. This watch actually had a very good result. There's still that beat error there that we saw before we put the new mainspring in. So we'll regulate that, get that down to a very low beat error. Basically a beat error means your escapements all in line in a Swiss lever escapement. You want it all set along a centre line. If it's out of that centre line, then it's not running as its most efficient. If you've got a beat error above 0.6, the watch won't self-start, so you'll have to shake it to get it running. It will still run, but just less efficiently than it would otherwise if it was all set up correctly. You see, it's getting worse before it gets better. So we just keep narrowing that. What we look for is one straight line. So we just keep making adjustments. Very easy to go too far. If that happens, you just start again and do it again until you get it in the perfect alignment. And then on Rolex there's a screw you can tighten. Once you've got it in beat, you lock the screw down and it will stay in beat. There we are, that's perfect. So now we've got an amplitude around about 300 degrees, that's excellent. That's a very good condition movement that's been well oiled. We've got barely any error on the timekeeping and no beat error either. So that is an excellent trace, very good result. It would not be surprising to see that sort of result on a brand new watch that's just left the factory. And that's how good condition this one is. Which is surprising because it's not been regularly serviced throughout its life, but it has stayed in a very good condition. We just do a light refinish to the case and bracelet on this one. Nothing major because it wasn't in terrible condition. We are polishing that beautiful Jubilee bracelet. So the first stage is to polish it, and then we'll tape off the centre part and put the brushed finish back on the outside so we keep that original two-tone finish. We do a few stages of ultrasonic cleaning. The best way to get rid of any dirt that's on the case and bracelet. Inside these Jubilee bracelets it can hide dirt. So we do the ultrasonic cleaning to get all of that out there, and the polishers that we use, they're all gone too. Important to dry the watch before you rebuild it. Here's the bezel going back on, securing the glass. And here's the watch on our testing machine. We do have them running on there for around about a week just to make sure everything's winding correctly, and here we are, the finished article. Looking very nice again, working well. A very lovely watch in excellent condition.